Hey,
I'll start. Go ahead.
well, welcome everybody to our Friday, February the 5th episode of Between Two Teachers. We got lots to cover today. And my name is Consuelo Lara.
And I'm Madeline Cronenberg. And as always, we are greeting you from the ancient and sacred land of the Chochenyo Karkin Ohlone tribes. And we are always grateful for the fact that we occupy their holy land. We're going to start today with a couple of some updates. They're going back to school in England. Remember, I keep talking about England. They're going back to school in England, which is, but not right away. They're going to go in 3 weeks. And they have a whole different set of things that they're looking at, but they really have been as a continent. They've been in school most of the time, and then they came out for the last few weeks because the pandemic was really bad. But they're looking at returning very soon. So that's their big news. In Contra Costa County, we have been certainly looking at what's happening in with respect to the virus. And the most interesting, the biggest thing that's happened right now that I wanted to talk about is that there is an equity map. Have you seen that? It's an equity map that's, I've got a link to it on the Trello, and the equity map shows where, when they look at the rate of transmission, it's higher in lower income communities. And what they're trying to do with the equity map is show where those communities are, literally by census tract, and then make sure there are places there for testing and of course now for vaccinations.
Okay.
But there's a lot of work that has to be done there. That's a big challenge. I mean, vaccinations really have only just gotten to where they've been available to everybody, and they still aren't available to everybody. And a lot of our neediest folks haven't gotten them. But there is an equity map out there, so that if you wanted to see it, you can take a look at it.
And one more thing about the vaccine and teachers, the CSBA, California School Board Association, had a letter they sent to the county and many other areas to prioritize teachers, to get all teachers vaccinated. And of course, that would be a step closer to reopening.
That would be a huge step, right? In the county, it's the Contra Costa County School Boards Association that sent that letter to Contra Costa County Board of Supervisors. And I watched the meeting the other day, and Mr. Phillips presented the letter to the board.
Yes. And so it went out, and it was a press release, and I believe it got on Channel 2. And
yes,
so yeah, it's out there.
It's definitely out there. And truthfully, throughout the state, there are communities that have vaccinated their teachers. There's the thing about the way the vaccines are distributed and prioritized is it's being handled a number of different ways. One way is it's being handled by the local county, but it's also being handled by other groups so that you can join certain medical insurance companies and get access, having another venue to get access.
Okay.
Right. So some people are doing that, and it just depends on where you are. And some places they are in Long Beach, they're going to start vaccinating their teachers next week.
Yeah.
Right. And the city of Long Beach has its own public health department.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So they're doing it through their public health. So like it's not even city and county, it's just the city. The city of Long Beach is the same, and I think it's the same political lines as the school district. So they're vaccinating, and then their hope is that they'll go back once they're vaccinated.
Yeah.
Right?
So we'll see where that goes. Sure.
And Buettner in Los Angeles, the superintendent, has said that he's waiting for everybody to be vaccinated. That's what, he recognizes that that's what it's going to take. And interestingly, California still doesn't have a dashboard that tells it. It's still, we're waiting. What does it say? It says here, we are in progress. which is just such an amazing thing. It's the What's on Deck, our interactive map. Well, we have no map.
Yeah, it's
We
not.
have zero map in California, which is
We
such
need
a,
that. Yeah, we need that. Okay.
everybody else has it. That's what's so interesting. It's not like it's a secret whether you're open or not, and whether or not you have cases. It's not a secret. And then the other, it's just that you're not sharing out the information. And that's what makes it difficult for people to make decisions, so that they are making the decisions in other states. They've got in New York and in South Carolina, in Washington. They have a map in Washington that you could just click on a county and see how many cases they have in schools in that county.
That's great. We need that for sure. Oh my gosh.
There are many versions that have been done already. So I just am looking forward to California getting theirs up, because this is just taking a really long time for them to get this together.
So practices we should be doing. Okay.
Yeah, right. And Oakland, at least Oakland has the vaccine data up on there. The OUSD has vaccine data on their school district website, which is not on most of them, but they at least have done that. So that's a really good thing.
Cool.
Buechner did his stuff. Then the best practices. And when I think that the best practices, when I was looking at, particularly around coronavirus, are the hubs.
Yes.
That is the best practice.
Yes.
Right. And so there is a database. I put a link to the database in here. It's run by the Center for Reinventing Public Education, which is a center that does a lot of education research on many different topics. And many of their political views, I personally don't agree with, but doing this database is great because they have the wherewithal to do it. And they cover all 50 states. And they aren't some that there are lots that they have for California that I hadn't heard about. There are some I think that they've missed, but nonetheless, it'll give you, if you're interested in hubs, this is the database to look at, because I don't think anybody else has put one up at all.
Yeah, and in case people don't know, hub is like a place, very much like an after-school program, where you would have, the kids go there, they have activities and tutoring, and they can do homework, and they get help, and they get fed, and there's activities, but it's all day. So, and it's small groups, and plenty of resources there for them. And if they have a case, they close it down. And so they monitor everything, and there's a lot of, equipment, and they file all the guidelines.
And but they haven't reopened schools. It's not reopening schools.
Most of them, I don't think, are at schools. Well,
most of them are. Most of them are at schools. Almost all of them are at schools. Or they use.
The ones we have are not.
The ones we have are not, but these and the ones in San Francisco are not. But these others, like in Modesto and in Stockton and in Fresno and in Glendale, they're using all their own buildings in Santa Ana. And that's how they're able to put in, many hundreds of kids.
And I think the resources that this provides for our most needy families is something that should not only be expanded and enhanced, but continued through even when the virus is gone. This is one way to close that gap. You're providing that extra, resources that our families need. So it's
a really important thing for us to look at, right? So some of the examples are the Glendale example, where they've used all their school sites. But the big thing is they're in a classroom that's set up for 20 to 30 children, but there are 15 children there with a provider, a caretaker, not the teacher, because they're still on their Chromebook getting their lessons. Right. And instead of mom and dad sitting next to them, they have the caretaker, the tutor / caretaker who's in the classroom. And so there's them. Go ahead.
One more thing. So my call to action in terms of the hubs is to other electeds, especially city council members, to contact the school board electeds and ask them, where are the hubs for my city, for my constituents, and for my schools in my city? You need to let them know this is what you want for for your school community. So
Right.
that's the call to action for me.
There's no question that's something. Contra Costa County has not been strong in this. I mean, certainly West Contra Costa, but really the whole county hasn't met the challenge that some of these other communities really have. So there's
I'll continue to get up at the county level as well. So yeah,
right.
we need to
I mean,
do.
San Francisco's done it. Modesto has 1,100 kids in it right now. There's 1,000 kids in Santa Ana, and they do it by just using their buildings. And Santa Barbara has another 500 kids, and Santa Barbara is the one that's being done by their that's being coordinated by the county. So there are a lot of different ways to do it, but
Sure.
really, truly, that's something. The thing about it is we can do it now.
Yes.
We can do it now.
Okay.
So really, I hope is looked at seriously. The other interesting news this week is the city of San Francisco sued the school district.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Because they haven't opened and they want them to open it. And the city of San Francisco is running the hubs for 6,000 children in San Francisco.
Yep.
Not the school district at all. It's the city. And the city had just said, we will help you come back. But what they really are looking at then is what's going to happen with vaccinations. Will the city of San Francisco do what Long Beach is doing and vaccinate their teachers? And San Francisco it's a city and county, so they must have their own health department. I would think they could do it.
I know. It's the city's county and the district are all the same thing. So it's
that's a big advantage.
It's like they're suing themselves.
It is. It's a very, but that's what they're doing. Yeah. They're also in San Francisco. They're renaming 44 of their schools.
Oh, that's great.
So this is big news, right? And this is among the people that they may rename the schools for. This is to eliminate the slaveholders and people with a background that has racist connotations to it and racist behaviors. But the headline was one of the people that they're looking at naming schools after is Jerry Garcia from the Grateful Dead. Now we're looking at a whole new group of people.
Local color, and that's it. That's cute. Oh wow.
Yeah.
But that's hilarious.
And then I had a link to the study session. West Contra Costa did another study session. They brought in some folks from Harvard. They talked about the what had to be done physically to our buildings, and there are so many issues. There's the issue around air from our buildings that really do depend completely on outside ventilation. There's issues around there's an issue around spacing. There's an issue around nurses. School districts don't have nurses were removed from our districts long ago. California doesn't have nurses. Some of these other states, every building has a nurse. Not here. So that's another, how you're going to handle medical problems becomes its own issue. So there's that.
Yep.
There's that. I want to mention one thing about lobbying.
Sarah Butler.
Oh, we got a phone call. Looks like. Okay, there you go.
The one thing I wanted to mention was in San Diego, they have some lobbyists. So there's a conversation now about whether school districts should hire lobbyists or not, right? And the parents are suing San Diego Unified because of for hiring a lobbyist. Right. So it's just an interesting look at what lobbying, what lobbyists do. Lobbyists are paid for their political connections. What it really comes down to.
Sure.
Right. And so if you're going to spend that money and take it out of the general fund, what did you get for it? So that's the question that they're looking at in San Diego. And I know that lobbying has come up in a lot of different districts. And it's not like it doesn't have a place. It just depends on whether or not you have the specific need for that requires a lobbyist. And usually lobbyists, the CSBA has a lobbyist, the organizations have lobbyists, right? And
Yeah, it's almost like they're saying, well, they're already doing it for us. They're already doing, but that's not the case. I'm all for it that we need lobbyists because it's usually what's happened at the policy and legal level that deprives us of funding or limits.
That's true, but I just think it makes it, usually you're not alone. So you're like, when you're talking about special ed kids, you're not the only district with special ed kids.
Right.
And when they're making a decision, it's a decision that has a whole category of people. So that before you pay $80,000 a year for a lobbyist to only represent you, why aren't you using the bundle, that you belong to, the group that you belong to? They're all different groups. There's that also pay for the lobbyists. I think that the paying for somebody to only represent you at the amount of money that these folks charge is duplicating what they're doing already for you through your organizations, unless you have things that are so unique that your district has issues that no other district has.
Yeah. So it's depends on that community. It depends on each. Yeah. Okay.
I think that's what I think. So I mean, because I don't mind doing it if you've got an argument. You can make an argument saying we have a specific thing. We have to have something written that will only affect us.
Absolutely. Makes sense.
Right. But if you're advocating for something that everybody has something to do with,
yeah,
then that doesn't make as much sense.
It should be reevaluated for its effectiveness time to time. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, I've got an update. Mr. Ting's bill, the one that was going to say that everybody had to go back to school on March 1st.
Yeah.
Well, he pulled his hearing. He canceled the hearing on that. Just like Governor Newsom has stepped away because he's not getting the support that he had hoped to get. So that's waiting. That's nothing's happened there. And then one other thing that we talked about, Marjorie QAnon, our QAnon person, Marjorie Taylor Greene, is no longer on the Federal Education Committee.
Yay!
That's gone. She's gone.
She's something, boy. Don't get me started.
She is, and she's not, she's unapologetic. I know. It's
very scary.
Okay, so the two things we have left are, one is that there's ever the legislative update. HR 82 is the Social Security Fairness Act. We're still waiting. That's
yes.
That's the one that's got lobbyists. I mean, the teachers, every teacher's retirement group is lobbying for that.
And this addresses the teacher shortage. There are people that leave private sector, go into teaching, and when upon retirement, they can get the teacher retirement, but they can't get all of that Social Security they earned in the private sector. That's wrong.
They lose it for no reason.
That is just wrong. We all have to fight for this. We all have to fight for this.
And the other one is, the other one that's out there, the California Arts Council. So if you are working in the arts community, the California Arts Council has a big grant, and it's only available till February 11th. But if you know somebody who's working in the arts community, it's particularly with children who are in the justice system, they're looking to offer opportunities, artistic opportunities for programs that are working with these children. So this is the children that the county deals with, wow. Right? So this is, and it's a big one. It's up to $50,000, but you have to apply by February 11th.
Okay.
And so the links to that are on here.
Okay.
And then the last thing for me is I want to do a shout out to Mr. McGee from the Office of African American Student Success, who is, and I have a link to his opening ceremony for Black History Month. He has done an extraordinary job and is going to continue on through the month. But if you want to see an extraordinary Black history presentation, his opening ceremony is it.
They're just great. And there's that whole grid. It tells you each day and what they're going to do, who is the audience, and it's just very well organized and structured. And I just love it. Good.
This is what happens when you create an office. That's how it happens, right? And we never had it before because we didn't have
There you go.
We didn't have somebody who had the focused attention to produce it,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
So,
what an asset to us. Yeah.
and now for Carlos.
Oh, well, before that though, we wanted to talk a minute about the vaccine.
Oh, yes,
You and I have gotten our first,
we
and
have.
we talked about how when we were up at the college, we did not see a whole lot of people of color or, and so it told me, and I used to do this senior peer counseling where I would go into the homes of the elderly. A lot of the elderly are not online. They don't have the resources, and just there's got to be a way we need to reach those people, because for us it was, we just went online and made our our appointments, and then
But, and I will tell you, I had my own hiccups with my appointment. And so I went onto what most of those folks are going to use, which is a telephone. I went and called the telephone number, and there is the phone is not working well. They are very understaffed, or certainly that's the conclusion I would draw, because I was left online for a very long time before I ultimately was able to get a response. And actually, I never got a response. I got a response because I was watching our Board of Supervisors meeting, and our supervisor, Mr. Joya, said that, people are having problems, they can always call my office. And so I called his office, which was very successful for me, and they were able to schedule me. So I want people to know and to share with anybody who needs help. If you've struggled with the phone number, if you get through the phone number, more power to you. But if you're struggling with the phone number, if you're not online, the thing they have to offer you in Contra Costa County is the phone number. And if the phone number doesn't work, then you should call whoever your supervisor is and have them help you.
yes, that's what they want to do. That's what they're there for sure.
That's what they're there for. And if you want to help people, then that's another thing. You could call your supervisor and say that you would like to help other people. A number of people have said that, but how you're going to hook people up is another question, right? But at the very least, that is the point of contact. That supervisor's office is the place that you can start and recommend to anybody that that's where they start.
Yeah, I mean, because all kinds of things happen. I did open that second email, and that told me, oh, we're closed on Mondays, so you have to come on Wednesday. But if I hadn't opened it, I wouldn't have known that. So
I didn't open it. I didn't even get it. I think it went to, it doesn't matter, wherever it went.
Anyway.
So I went, and it was closed.
So if you can't, we got to problem solve all of these things. We got to get mobile units out there to people that, have more access. We just got to get it out there more. And
right.
I think that'll.
Because this is the answer. The vaccine is the answer. I mean, it will, once we're vaccinated, the schools can start back up again. These families that have been apart can come back together. It is the answer. And they are there. If you're eligible to get it, you need to get online. You need to get out there and get it.
We could stop these, people passing away and people getting severely sick. We need to stop all that. This vaccine is what we need to push for sure.
It really is. And then the teachers need it. Because once the teachers, all of the tension between the teachers and the community will evaporate once they're able to be vaccinated. That's all they're really asking for. That's the biggest hurdle right now is for teacher vaccination.
Absolutely. And then the only other thing, I just wanted to announce the Concilio Latino meeting on February the 19th. It's on the Facebook page, but that we're going to have somebody from Catholic Charities and also from Nancy Skinner's office. We'll be talking about immigration and also other COVID-19 resources. Maybe that's where we talk about.
And we should talk about this. We should talk about vaccinations.
Yeah, because that's going to be very important. So, okay, are we ready for the joke?
We're ready for the joke.
Okay, I love this one. Okay. So, what do politicians and diapers have in common?
I don't know. What do politicians and diapers have in common?
Well, they both should be changed regularly, and for the same reason.
Carlos. Carlos never disappoints us.
Love that.
All right. We'll see you all next week. Hopefully we'll have lots more happy news about more people getting vaccinated. But we are now.
Yeah, we're there.
We're
Okay,
there.
bye-bye.